come forward. At the expiration of the period, you go back to the court. Nobody comes and say, look, I have an interest in that land. So the court will say, give Albert Fridges absolute title to the property. That is how it's done. And then now, on an order of the court, if the court finds that all the features, all the conditions have been complied with and are present in the application, the court can make an order giving the applicant absolute title to the property. But folks, ça pas ça fait avec tes gouvernements. Depuis tes gouvernements, tout ça me dit là, pas ça fait. The court cannot and will not, it is law, and you will see it in a while. It is law that you cannot prescribe. You can be living on government land for 1 million years. You cannot get title to it by prescription. You cannot. The only land that is amenable to get prescriptive title from or by is private lands, not crown lands. Not crown lands. Okay? Moi, last dit ça. Ou pas ça, ou peut ka wete le gouvernement pour 3 millions l'année. Ou pas ça un titre pour te gouvernement. Si c'était privé, ou allez, on a mort 50 l'année passée, je l'ai pas claim, je l'ai pas claim, mais ou allez, oui, ou ça journée. Te privé. Okay? So, folks, I was saying that prescription is only available to private lands and not crown lands. Not lands owned by the crown. Okay? So this thing we are doing now is totally new. It does not exist in law. It has never existed as a government policy. You know, and I was saying, several colleagues called me, but this particular colleague called and said, Richard, you need to address that. Because people don't seem to understand. Imagine, a colleague called me. Ofi, boswe Ofi. Ofi is a guy from Ancillary who I know very well. Ofi, he's talking to Ofi. A lawyer is talking to Ofi. Ofi says, "Loi sa te ala, mwetan rush di, loi sa te ala." And the lawyer is telling me he was at wit's end to tell Ofi that the law does not apply to crown lands. Avogado mwawa Ofi bagata.
He heard it from an eminent jurist.
Yeah. Rush. I'll play that clip in a bit.
There's another one, you know. What's his name again? This Tsunami fella.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't see? He posted. What he sought to do was to pit you against the prime minister.
I know.
Yeah. But when we will deal with that.
I know. So, you know, Office arguing for a lawyer that Ross said that's the law. And many lawyers, a so-called lawyer called Newspin, insinuating the same thing. You know, other lawyers would call me. I was inundated. One particular lawyer asked me, how can a lawyer be so reckless? I mean, if you don't know, you don't know, but you don't go on radio and defend a position which is law.
Yeah.
You know, how can you be so reckless? So on Tuesday in the House, I sought to regularize.
To clarify
the whole thing. And folks, I will play you exactly what I said in Parliament. And I'll show you what the Flabbos did. To the point where our own supporters are saying I contradicted the Prime Minister. Nonsense. Take a listen to exactly what I said. My entire contribution is very short on Tuesday in relation to that issue.
Minister for Housing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to at least inform the general public that pursuant to a statement made by the Honorable Prime Minister, wherein persons who having lived or occupied Crown lands for 30 years and more will be given title to the property. I want to announce, Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, that this is an initiative which never existed, either legally or through governmental policy. I want to disabuse the minds of some persons who seemingly have digested misinformation, stating that as long as you are on the land for 30 years, you are entitled to that property. That only goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands, and that does not apply to Crown lands. I want to say that again. Memsi Uwaletea Putuatlani Député se te gouvernement au passage wene même si ou alay pour tout l'année di police. So this initiative sala c'est un initiative niveau, and I am pleased to announce, Mr. Speaker, that pursuant to that initiative, the government already has over 800 lots surveyed, and in the next 2 weeks or so, over 800. In the next 2 weeks or so, Mr. Speaker, persons from OPICO, persons from POM, persons from OG, and persons from cantonment will be given letters identifying the block and parcel number and the area of occupation, pursuant to which the deeds will be facilitated, and those deeds will be deeds of donation from the government of St. Lucia to the relevant occupants of the property. Those who have not been occupying for that 30 years will be given the property at a concessionary price of $2.50 per square foot. And Mr. Speaker, that exercise will continue in the Grosile area, in the Dennery North area, in Labon and other places, in Dennery, in Odsa. We are proceeding with due haste in Volet, Mr. Speaker, Bel Air as well. Bel Air, Mr. Speaker, I want to announce, has over 200 surveyed lots, and those lots will lend themselves to the very same principle announced by the Honorable Prime Minister. So we are moving steadily insofar as implementation and delivery of promises made by the Honorable Prime Minister is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. You know, folks, you all will not believe what the united pack of worthless individuals with an intention of deceiving the people of this country for political gain. You all will not believe what they do. They extracted the part where I said this only applies to private lands, and I was referring to title by 30-year prescription. They took it, me saying this only applies to private lands. They juxtaposed it to the Prime Minister saying that all Crown lands will be free, and said that the Prime Minister and I were contradicting each other. Take a listen to the deceit that they put together. Play that clip for me, please. Much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to at least inform the general public that pursuant to a statement made by the Honorable Prime Minister, I want to disabuse the minds of some persons who seemingly have digested misinformation, stating that as long as you are on the land for 30 years, you are entitled to that property. That only goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands.
This year, we will give everybody who is on Crown lands and who has been there for more than 30 years, we will give them the land free. Boo-aye!
Property. That only goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands, and that does not apply to crown lands.
Everybody who is on crown lands and who has been there for more than 30 years, we will give them the land free. Boo-aye!
It goes, Mr. Speaker, for private lands, and that does not apply to crown lands. You know, that is how foolish those people are. Flabos, that will not work. Sapakai to avai, that will not work. You all just want to walk the road of treachery and deceit alone. That will not work. Sapakai to avai. Maka pale about prescription. Paka apply pute gouvernement. Zoka pale, you only apply to private land. Zopwe yo chosa, apwe chosa. Exoka voye to akodi se samedikadi. Deben kuyo kozoti. Albert.
In effect, Richard, what you were doing, and I think what you did was very good, because the PM was speaking of his initiative.
That's correct.
Right? That this government, right, as something new,
Totally new.
something new, will be giving people who have occupied crown lands for 30 years or in excess of that, will be giving them the land free, giving them title
Yeah.
to that land.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with prescription.
At all.
Absolutely nothing to do with
Nothing.
prescription.
And even it was prescription, it does not apply to crown lands.
No, but precisely what I'm saying to you, what the PM is talking about there has nothing to do with prescription.
That's all.
The PM is talking about an initiative of his government.
Yes, but what they did, Albert, because there's prescription by 30 years,
Yes.
they're saying it already existed.
I know. And what you were doing was trying to clarify this whole thing.
Exactly.
That Gadima, it's not because you happen to be on some land for 30 years, right? That prescription applies to that. That is not what it is. It is the government saying to you, because you have occupied the land for 30 years or
I will
more
give
than
it to
that,
you.
I will give it to you. And that has nothing to do with the law of prescription.
Exactly.
But I saw what they were doing.
Yeah.
They tried to pit you against the prime minister.
That's correct.
You know?
That's
and they I see this man has just been a troublesome fella. Just
No, but some of our own people, that's what hurts. Some of our own people, they don't read, they don't listen. To me, just acquaint yourself with what's going on and don't fall for the BS of those people, man.
And you're saying that a lawyer went on air. A lawyer went on air to say that?
Insinuate.
He didn't say, but he insinuated.
Yeah.
That's still. But the thing is, as you say, Richard, it's not like because you're a lawyer, you know everything,
Well, that's true.
you know?
That is true.
But what you don't know, you go research.
Exactly. No lawyer knows every area of law. I mean, I used to do the cases I used to do, and I almost became an expert in it because I had reason to do research over and over
until it became almost something by rote.
Exactly. So when I pick up a file, my first thing is to look for indentations in the evidence. And I know how I'm going to win my case already on the basis of the lack of this or the lack of that or whatever. If you don't know the law, you press your mute button and you go, because, I mean, law evolves. Law is not static, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
So what applied yesterday does not apply to. Look at the Privy Council, how many times they changed the decision about a man being culpable for raping his wife. You remember they used
There
to
was a
change,
time a man couldn't rape his wife.
and there was a time he could rape his wife.
Yes.
You know, so I don't even know what it is now. So the law evolves, the law is dynamic, it's not static, and no one can profess to knowing everything in the law. But if you don't know, press your mute button. Press your mute button, and folks, that is what they did. United Pack, Sapakai Tuavai. The very same way I was on this show.
So Russia has a grounding in law.
I don't know, you will hear him in a while. He said that has been on the books from 1956.
But what about, I mean, they've got Harrow, who's a lawyer, and so why do you know? Anyway.
You'll hear in a bit. I don't know if he was complicit. I don't know. You know, that will not work the very same way, Albert. I basically went through all the egregious deeds, the vaccine money, the mall, the T.O.R. King, the cardboard, the $8,000 a day in hotel rental. I went through the incinerators, so 11 million, the 32 million to Local B, another 15 million to build bypass road. I went through all a host where you can't go through all Shasta's egregious deeds. And then I said, how could you have had that as a prime minister? You United Pack turned it around, kept what I said in relation to how can you have that and said I was referring to Philip J. Pierre. That will not work. And all you all do, you all are so foolish. You all always provide me with fodder. You all always provide me with fodder to see that most of your statements are asinine statements. That's all you all do. You all are foolish. Whoever is advising you all, you don't want to put your hand in hot water, you'll get burnt. You will get burnt. You see the hot water, go about it. Never awake a sleeping giant. Stupid, you all are stupid. So when I said what I said, I showed and I said basically that the deals that Shasta had made, not even a child with infant level education would have done so. And I basically said that we are an island of 2 Nobel laureates. We are an intelligent people, there is no doubt. They took the excerpt and did what they had to do and said I was referring to Philip J. Pierre. Let me tell you all this. Philip Joseph Pierre, this indigenous solution has turned the economy of this country around. We are replete with examples of how he has done it. We are replete with examples of how regional and international bodies are saying that St. Lucia is on the right developmental trajectory. We are replete with examples, lowest unemployment rate ever, minimum wage, pensioners, laptops, everything you can possibly think of. The man broke a 32-year-old spell of not having 3 years of consecutive growth. And now we are into 4 years of consecutive growth under the management and leadership of Philip Joseph Pierre. How can you compare this man with Chasney? How can you do that? That's not chalk and cheese. Chalk and cheese, at least they have a semblance or similarity in terms of clear color. But that's like night and day. That's night and day. Shasta cannot fit in Philip J. Pierre's big. Philip J. Pierre has led this country so well that even with corruption, we are doing better, much better. So much so, the country was lauded as a leader in the Caribbean region to wipe out corruption. We are doing better as a government than as a country now. There is absolutely no doubt. 2017 was our most corrupt year in the history of this country. So, the nonsense you all are doing is just providing more and more fodder. But
who was in government in 2017 when we had the worst year for corruption?
Not you guys, Joseph and Shasta.
No, hold on. You can say a lot of things about me. Okay, and I'll accept that.
Madu Karapa.
No.
Marisa.
If you put me in that company, no, look for other companies.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. And worst corrupt year in our history. And y'all want to talk all that crap and spew garbage all the time. And I'm calling on the supporters of the government. Stop. Good night, Luther. Even Luther Halsey. Sunday I'm making. Imagine folks got a holiday. No, it was when was the holiday? Thursday. Yesterday, yeah. I had to tell Luther, I need you to read more. Luther Halsey, good night,
Tell me what happened with you and Luther.
No, Luther. Hey, boss, what's happening? Because I seen a clip where you contradict the Prime Minister. I said, Luther, you telling me that?
I don't agree with you. I think what Luther did was good. He called you because he was confused. He called you for you to shed some light.
No, but my point is, don't make excuses to anybody. My point is, Luther could have just, you go to Parliament, you listen to what I said, but you don't take an excerpt.
No, Luther is not a lawyer. And Luther did the fine, wonderful thing by calling you.
No, you don't understand. If you look at the clip put out there by United Park,
Yes.
on its very surface, it appears that the PM and I are making contradictory statements. You just extract a bit and extract a bit, and they contradict, because I'm saying this only applies to private lands.
Yes.
But I was referring to title by prescription.
Yes.
And then the PM is saying all crown lands are for free.
Yes.
So PM saying crown, I'm saying private. When you juxtapose that, they're seemingly on the surface is a contradiction.
Yeah.
But my point is, you don't take those things. I want to see the clip where the statements will be. You understand? In other words,
You want to see the entire clip?
the entire clip. So I can come to my own deduction, especially, Albert, when those pronouncements are made by your political enemies. I ain't the pathway. I ain't Alan Shastney the pathway. Anything Shastney tells you. Anything he tells you.
I mean, if he says good morning, look at your watch.
Look at your watch. Or look at the sun. It might be night. Go and fact check Alan Shastney. Go and fact check him. So folks, and then Rush. VT. Rush, you need to stop making a fool of yourself. Stop it. Stop
But
making...
someone sent him to do that to himself.
Stop making a fool of yourself. Don't let them put feces in your mouth. Eat it. They tell you it's chocolate and you eat it. When you open, you see is feces that you have in your mouth. Fact check what you are asked to read. Fact check it. That's how you educate, you elucidate yourself. You fact check. So nobody throws rubbish at you and you swallow it hook, line, and sinker. And it just speaks to your gullibility, Rush.
Remember, somebody signed a very important document without having read it.
Bradley. But it speaks to their gullibility. It speaks to their gullibility.
It speaks to the dogmatic nature of the leader as well.
I wouldn't say dogmatic. I would say autocratic.
Autocratic.
Yes. That is what's going on. Fact check what you are asked to read. I'll tell you all this. I will die. Albert will die. Everybody will die. You will die, Rush. But records will remain. Records will remain. And your children, if you have any, or grandchildren, will say, hey, that's what my grandfather said. They say my grandfather was really stupid. Fact check. Easy. Fact check. So when you say that the law was there since 1956, where you get that rubbish from, Rush? Where you get that rubbish from? It shows clearly that if there is a slight legal compartment in your brain, it is empty. Gosh, there is a lacuna, a void. Rush, take a listen to yourself and see how stupid you sound in light of all the evidence and in light of what you now know is the law. Because I'm sure you have rearranged your ignorance on your own volition. Play this clip for me, please.
Once again, the Flabeau team cracks under pressure.
My government will institute a land rationalization policy of granting title to citizens who have been occupying less than 8,000 square feet of crown lands for more than 30 years.
This is new. This is compassion. This is justice.
This is not a new idea. It has been part of this country's law since 1956. You don't need to have a politician hand it to you.
Classic Rosh Gap. Here's what he forgot to read. You cannot claim Crown land just by living on it for 30 years. That's the law.
This is an initiative which never existed, either legally or through governmental policy.
Richard Frederick didn't contradict the Prime Minister. He backed him up with the law. Now Flabeau trying to twist it again? This policy gives dignity to families who were left in legal limbo for generations. This is not spin. This is J. Pierre policy, backed by facts, not fluff.
And I am pleased to announce, Mr. Speaker, that pursuant to that initiative, the government already has over 800 lots surveyed. Over 800 will be given letters identifying the block and parcel number to the relevant occupants of the property. Now, you know, Albert, what is strange? Rush is sounding so confident.
Yeah, indeed.
I am seeing a barrage of teeth looking at me. You know? And the law, that's the law since 1956. Which law, Rush? Which law? Gosh, man. Eben. C'est Flabeau's about Article 2077 of the Civil Code. Go read it. You cannot prescribe against the Crown. Y'all are too foolish. Y'all do no research. Y'all don't read. Y'all are gullible. And y'all just regurgitate whatever you are told. That is a recipe for disaster. And you want to represent people. You want to represent people.
And we've said it already tonight, Richard, but I think it's worth saying again that what the Prime Minister, right, is proposing, not even proposing, he's going to do it.
It's been done already.
It's been done already. Okay. That is not prescription.
Yes, it's not prescription.
Right? And that's all Richard was trying to explain there, you know, in
It's
the
not
Parliament.
prescription.
That this is not prescription. This is an initiative of the government.
Of the government.
Which has nothing to do with prescription.
Prescription, nothing at all. But Rush is in the law and has been there from 1956, showing all his teeth. May I say, because I really serious, I swear it was a load I was in there. The man is speaking so.
He's a bad guy.
Who can buy black so?
Oh, black mobile. There was nowhere. There was nowhere.
You know, and the man is sounding so confident, spewing garbage. That's not your territory. Go read the Civil Code. Check Article 2077. You know, y'all flubbers want to win an election on the basis of deceit. That will not work. That will not work. You know, it will not work. Y'all are flip-floppers. Y'all don't know what to say. Y'all just say anything. But then your leader says the truth is what you believe it to be. So for all you know, Rush may have, for all intents and purposes, legitimately believed what he was speaking was the truth. But you owe yourself a duty, because once those words are dispensed with from your mouth, you have to make them your own. Those are your utterances. Fact check what you say, or keep your big mouth and your teeth shut. Just keep it shut. Because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, excuse me. The law has been there from 1956. Which law? You know, gosh, man. And that reminds me of Alan Shastney. Alan Shastney just does not know which side of the fence he's on. What's the name of the instrument used to measure the direction of the wind? The wind vane?
Wind vane,
Wind
barometer,
vane.
wind vane is, yeah. The barometer is for pressure. Yeah.
Pressure. Thermometer is temperature. The wind vane. Alan is like a wind vane. Any direction the wind blows, he's there. Alan Shastney, and I'll give you all a few examples, folks, so you all will understand who you all are dealing with. The man does not know how to stand on a principle. He does not know that, look, I said this and I will stand by it. He says one thing today, and tomorrow will say something totally different based on the side of the fence that he finds himself on, or the side of the fence that he supports.
It's convenient at the time. Man's a man who speaks for convenience.
Yeah, but whether you speak for convenience or not, Albert, you have to show a certain degree of principle in your utterances. Stick to what you say. Be someone. What you look at me for?
Alan Chaste, principal.
The two don't run in the same stream.
Yeah.
You know, but that's serious, folks. When Shaste was in government, and though we'll come to the Banan's land in a bit, he wanted people out because Flabo had a vision plan. You all remember? I showed it. Flabo had a vision plan. And rather than going to them and have discourse, meaningful discourse, in a manner that basically they would agree without any kind of brouhaha, he went with police. He went to them with police. That's when he was in government. 2 days in opposition, they should get $1 million. We come into that, you know. But I'm just mentioning the different stances that Alan Shastney takes based on which side of the fence he is. In government, you all remember the famous clips. There are numerous of them. We are replete with examples of what he said to the opposition. You have no right to speak. You have no right to speak. You have lost your right to advise. All of that he was saying to the opposition. He said it in St. Lucia. He went to England and he said it until someone told him he's been arrogant. They lost their right to advise. They lost their right to speak. Today he's in opposition. Today he's in opposition. That same right that the opposition then had lost, he keeps saying he has a right to be heard. I have a right to be heard. The Constitution recognizes the opposition, and even
They try to make a coalition of opposition.
yes, went as far as saying the same opposition that had lost the right to speak, Alan now wants a coalition or an association of leaders of the opposition to be his brainchild, and wants to meet Heather's well, you know. He wants to meet all the lending agencies, ECCB and CDB and all of them, as leader of the opposition. When the other guys were in opposition, they lost the right to speak. So Shastney speaks not from any principled standpoint, but basically from a standpoint of convenience. In government, look at Galaxy. All the clips are there. All of them are there. Galaxy was the best thing to have happened to St. Lucia. They were approved after rigorous due diligence. Bradley, Shastney, Galaxy will expose brand St. Lucia to the Asian market, a relatively untapped tourism market. That was Shastney when he was in office. When he was in office, Galaxy will assist them in tapping into the relatively untouched Asian market, the Chinese and the this and the that, blah, blah, blah. Now he's in opposition. It's a complete turnaround. A complete turnaround. That very Galaxy that he lauded, that he praised, that he felt would have been the avenue for us to create inroads, major inroads, the brand St. Lucia into the Asian market. Today, Galaxy saw them. The very galaxy he brought to St. Lucia. And he went as far as tagging with a convicted criminal, a convicted fraudster to the real government and its relations with Galaxy. The very Galaxy, you said that's the best thing to happen to St. Lucia. You know? Shasta just jumps, he flip-flops. That is a fact. He's a political deceiver. Now, how can you, as a prime minister, how can anyone trust your word? How can they trust your word? GPH. He boasted in government that GPH took him all around the globe. He went globe-trotting, rather, with GPH. He was globe-trotting. He said himself that he had GPH had brought him to see the numerous ports that they had built.
Venice, Portugal.
Oh yeah, I went to Venice and to Portugal, blah, 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 blah. And GPH, oh, it's good. GPH is very good. You know, he witnessed several ports in and out of the region. He boasted how GPH has capacity and deliver a good product.
Remember the last time we were here, when you were talking about GPH, we said that there had to have been a sticking point.
That's for campaign.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to resume some of your ambitions. That's for campaign. Alan Chasney even signed an agreement with GPH. He signed an agreement with GPH. What did we do as a government? We took that agreement. We improved it. We made it better so that the interests of the people and the government of this country would have been better served with the current agreement. Now he's in opposition. GPH is no good. GPH Pabo PS. Même GPH la, imenencia. GPH is no good. We sold the ports. Can you imagine? The very man who signed an agreement with GPH, our agreement now is better than what he signed. And one of the shows, I will take the two agreements and I will go through them. I can't go through them in their entirety, but I will go through various clauses to see where the amendments were made, where we are now much better off. But GPH Pablo encore, because he's in opposition. You know, he negotiated his deal. We made the deal better. I mean, Alan Chasney stands on no solid principles. Alan Chasney does not give two damns about economic development of this country. He will take any stance whatsoever. Even the destruction of this country, if he takes that. Once he believes, the stance he takes would be basically, would assist him in propelling him to the prime ministership of this country. Once he believes his stance will remove hurdles from his path to an election victory, he will, even if it contradicted or is diametrically opposed to the former stances he took, Alan Chasney is not principled in any regard. And so, this man keeps on showing the electorate his hypocrisy and his double-standardness everywhere he goes. Look at this. Chasney has criticized our CIP program. He has criticized it vehemently. You all remember he's going to Washington to get the evidence from Martinez. You all remember that? You all remember the plan that was hatched where a taxi driver, as well taxi drivers are, bodega ipinu fwe. Bodega ipinu sa, because you pack a fese by sa. A taxi driver saying that he saw a plane written FBI at the airport. and 3 people were taken on the plane, not realizing, as ignorant as he is, FBI only operates within the confined geographical space of the United States. He does not know that. But Lano plane FBI, yo toi, yo pue, yo toi. You know, you'll remember that all against, in an effort at denouncing our CIP program. They bloated and they blasted how the Prime Minister was summoned to Washington. You'll remember that. And he will be questioned by the FBI. You'll remember all of that. Huh? There's a pastor on TV who asks persons to join, and each of them will get $100,000. You remember that, Albert?
Yeah.
You remember that? All in the name of bringing down our program. Each of you join the lawsuit, join Martinez's lawsuit, and you'll get 100. They say, no, everybody. You know? No, but I'm just giving examples as to how they, in the various ways they denounced the CIP program. Shastner was in New York. He was on a stage, and he said as early as tomorrow, we will lose our corresponding banking. So much so that it urged Bank of St. Lucia to issue a press release. All of that this country has gone through. All of that as they try to bring down our CIP program. We will lose visa access. We will lose this, all kind of crap about our CIP program. But you know, being the wind vane that he is, Shastner does not know where to stand. And you see, that is why they will not like my... I don't have time for mepui. I don't have time for no personal attacks. I'm not human race, and the human don't want me, and Indians want it. I don't have time for that. You know, my level of discussion is way beyond the intellectual capacity of those people who just, you know, personal attacks, you know. Being the wind vane that Shastner is, having done so much and said so much, both locally, regionally, and internationally about our CIP program. He'll say one thing now, 15 minutes later, another thing. Shastner goes to St. Vincent. Have it. Because he supports the Yellow Party in St. Vincent, NDP. Because he supports the opposition. And because the opposition there have manifested an intention to introduce the CIP program, he has to support it. He now has to support the CIP program in St. Vincent, notwithstanding the assiduous attempts by the United Workers' Party, led by Shastner, to not only cause aspersions, but to derail our CIP program. Take a listen to Shastner in St. Vincent on the CIP.
The fact is, the CIP program is under a lot of pressure. But that does not mean that St. Vincent and the Grenadines cannot benefit from it. But the difference will have to be, unlike Comrade Ralph, you will have to have leadership that's willing to make the ethical, moral, legal, right decisions that are going to be in the best interest of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I don't have any respect for your Prime Minister's position on CIP, because it's a position of convenience, and some people will go as far as to say that he's a hypocrite. That he's a hypocrite.
Albert, can you imagine Mitt speaks to positions of convenience?
Yeah, but he goes further. He speaks of being ethical, moral, and legal in your decision making. Speaking of Ralph, the comrade.
By the way, I don't know, Ralph Gonzalez, if you're listening, I know sometimes you listen, or probably Skerrit, our good friend Skerrit over in Dominica, if you're listening, call your comrade Ralph and ask him to give us a call here, please. If you're listening, call him and ask him to give us a call. Let's hope that works. Go ahead, Albert.
No, but I mean, can you imagine that, as you say, Shasney is speaking of? I mean, Richard, there's so many things. I mean, what happened to the CIP monies that went into DSH? We know absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
about
nothing.
that. So, what is ethical about that, Shasney? That it's not your money, you know, because you were treating government money as if it was yours. What is
He
ethical
was
about it?
treating St. Lucia as though it was
Yeah.
his property.
A piece of real estate that belongs to Papa. Yeah, not even Papa, it belongs to you. Right? Ethical, legal, moral. What was ethical? What was legal? What was moral about how you dealt with the CIP? Not the CIP. The DSH monies.
Yeah, but
Right,
CIP,
right.
because he did the DSH deal, and in the agreement, he agreed that the man could have opened an account outside of St. Lucia.
Escrow account outside.
Sell passports, and put that money in that account. Basically, and we have absolutely no.
And if perchance we wanted to use
No, we can't.
5
We have
cents.
to ask him.
If we wanted to use 5 cents,
We
have to
have
ask him.
no access, zero access to that money. You know? And going to disrespect Ralph. Disrespecting Ralph. You know, you go to the man's country, the man is prime minister. At least you were a prime minister. Show some decorum. Show some manners. Show some respect. You disrespect. You see, the thing is, and the other clip I have here, where I have a clip there, but I wouldn't even play that now, where this journalist, what's her name again?
Janika
Simon. You know, Mr. Prime Minister, next question, please. You know, barking dogs, jackasses.
And it was a legitimate question.
You know, I mean, the man, the other one I have there is where he said that, you know, the people our population is small, so we can arrive at herd immunity in very quick time.
Determine, yeah, so we can, they'll determine. So I'm offering you my people as guinea pigs.
You know?
Yeah. To determine what herd immunity. And, you know, when I think about it, I've been thinking, I'm not sure, even if we did go through that and we achieved herd immunity at a certain level, I'm not sure that actually works, you know. Because I'm looking at the population, the smallness of
Albert, it is not even the herd immunity in itself. I think you're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing the point. I know exactly what you're saying.
The point is, one does not know the ramifications of inducing that medication in people. And then you're basically saying you can use our people as guinea pigs.
I know, Richard.
And do all your testing on them. I wonder if Shasta would have sent his wife and his children as part of those persons to determine herd immunity.
Those tests are dangerous. You know what happens? I know for sure in England, when they want to do those tests on human subjects, you are offered a certain amount of money for that. You have to sign, right, a disclaimer, right?
Yeah.
You have to sign a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're put in certain circumstances, you know, controlled circumstances. There was a time they had a chap who turned out, I think the business called him Elephant Man or something, right? But the fact is that because they know it's dangerous, you sign a disclaimer.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to. And this is what Shasta does. You go to the man's country, you have no respect for the man. You know, all of a sudden, the very CIP that you've made a devil of in St. Lucia, that you've tagged with a fraudster who has been convicted in more than 2 continents, you tag with him to derail us, to prevent us from getting the revenue from CIP because you believe it might negate the probability or possibility of you resuming office. So you want to cut our arms. You want to ensure our revenue streams are cut off.
Can you imagine that? A twice convicted felon.
You tagging with him.
It's tight with him to fight against St.
To fight against St. Lucia, to the point where you are calling on St. Lucians to join a frivolous lawsuit that the man was filing under the guise that everybody will get $100,000. Shasta, you will pay for what you've done to us. So all of a sudden, CIP turned from devil to good boy. Because those persons you are supporting are saying to you, we want to bring CIP. You know? And then you want to talk about positions of convenience. You know, your different positions to various issues contradict each other almost every time. So they are positions of convenience. You know, and you believe you can go and get involved in the people's politics over there. Who are you? Who are you? What political track record do you have? Apart from buying a seat in Deriso. What political track record? I almost said like political. He got
He doesn't say political.
He doesn't say political.
It's like agriculture.
Political. Who are you? Imagine, folks. Shastey has made a local, regional, and international fool of himself. He has become, everywhere he goes, he's the laughing stock of almost everyone around the table. Everyone. Bajans don't want him very close to Mia because they say he always eavesdrop on Mia's writings. He might steal contents of a speech. So they don't want him there. Rowley denounced him. We all know that. Brown called him a not too bright prime minister.
Michel, they had a good laugh.
Oh, yes.
He said, and he touching Michel, you know, your credit rating is your patrimony.
It's your patrimony. Yeah. You know, your credit rating.
And the man can see Michel actually laughing at him.
Laughing at him, or Michel was laughing with him.
No, anybody could see Michel was not laughing with him. He's laughing at him.
Your patrimony is your credit rating. You know, how much more do people have to make a mockery of you like that? You know, now you are in St. Vincent. Persons know you don't support the CIP program. You went there, you supported it because the opposition there supports it and they want to bring it in. But check a Vincentian comment about Shastey's position in St. Vincent on the CIP. Put up that comment for me, please. There is a video that has been circulating recently of opposition leader Shastey criticizing the CBI program in St. Lucia. He came to this St. Vincent and is defending it on behalf of the opposition party here, only to admit that the ban related to CBI is in another country, sitting right here in Vinci, while seated beside the opposition party leader. This is wickedly funny. You think a man can be making a fool of himself like that, man? Huh? You believe a man should be making a fool of himself like that? What do you think of me,
I am convinced that this man has a certain flaw in his personality. I'm convinced of that.
You mean the flaw is confined to his personality? It has not entered any other echelons of his upper being?
Seriously, Richard, when you see, for instance, shame, right?
Mr. Bao.
Yeah, I mean, you would do certain things, you find yourself in certain circumstances where it's embarrassing to you, and you feel that shame. I do not believe this man experiences that.
Yes.
I don't believe he experiences shame. I don't believe that.
I don't think so. I don't think so myself. Now, you know, whilst in St. Vincent, Albert, whilst in St. Vincent, Nigel Sinclair, good night to you. The man seemed to have been suffering with verbal diarrhea. The man, the man would address the gathering, the OECS gathering, and ask the leaders to consider withdrawing from CARICOM. You know, I don't know if Shastey is seen. And I'm not sure Shastey has all his faculties in order. Folks, this is simply unbelievable. It is unbelievable because, you know, and Shastey's, basically I could say this, his hatred, his disgust for black organizations is blatant. Don't forget, Shastey was the same one who wanted us to stay with the CCJ.
Yes.
You remember that? He wanted us to
with
the Privy Council, sorry.
Yes. Mm.
He wanted us to stay with the Privy Council and could have given no reasonable justification except that he had some gullible followers. No referendum, no CCG.
No referendum.
No referendum, no CCG. I mean, why can't we as a black people determine our own destiny?
Remember, Richard, he removed us from Alba.
Yes, he did.
And took us where? Lima.
Over there.
Lima. Right? And what was Lima? What did we get from Lima anyway?
Nothing.
Lima was set up by the US.
Of course.
Right? Strictly to hit at Venezuela.
Of course.
First it was hitting at Chavez.
So who you think they invited to Mar-a-Lago?
Precisely. So the whole idea, right, was for regime change in Venezuela. That's what Lima was about. We were with Alba, where we were getting benefits.
We got free gas, we got this, we got that, we got a lot of stuff.
But look at that solid bridge we have. We call it the Alba Bridge, of course.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
down there at Grand Riviera, Denry. Right? Prior to the Alba Bridge, every time it rained, we have that flood and so on, and traffic is just backed up and all.
It was impossible.
Yes.
Yes, and you had to wait. They subsiding.
And we had subsidies in gas, petroleum and all that products, you know. And you will remove us from that, right? After what that was it after his trip to Mar-a-Lago?
No, before that. And then he found himself on the list to go to
Mar-a-Lago. Okay, yes.
And can you imagine Sarah as Minister of Foreign Affairs writing, was it Chavez at the time or whoever it was?
Yeah, Chavez.
Saying that the elections were not democratically won.
Was it Chavez or Maduro?
Maduro. I'm not sure.
Maduro.
Probably, whichever.
Yes.
But my point is, who are you to stay in your third world country with 180,000 people and tell a country that have the most oil in the world with millions and millions of people that his election procedure was flawed?
Well, that did. Hasn't she written to the Vatican?
She's there. She religious now. She's a nun.
No, she has written. She has written to the Vatican. You know. Richard, come on. She has written to the Vatican.
To what? For what?
I think it was some complaint about the Archbishop.
Hey.
Yes.
I never know that.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
And you get me there?
Yes. I mean, I'll have to go back and do my. But first, I know there was some complaint to the Vatican about the Archbishop.
What kind of harassment did she complain
And
of?
also,
What kind of harassment did she
I
complain
can't rightly recall. I'll check it out. But
Yeah.
I know that she had written to the Vatican, right? Also, but Richard, remember Shasney? Can you imagine? Richard, listen, I tell you already, I'm not a religious man. And stop before you even say what you're about to say there, right? I'm not atheist. I'm not an atheist, right? But I'm not a religious person. But I have regard, you know. I have certain respect for
persons of the religious
yes,
fraternity.
I do.
Yeah.
So when Shasney can have the Archbishop apologize to him, can you imagine that? I mean, how egotistical can you be? How egotistical can you be?
That came under a threat, eh?
You know, exactly. It came under threat. And the Archbishop, I'm looking at the Archbishop and saying, oh boy, can you imagine the Archbishop now? I will apologize to you.
Yes, man.
And then you have Roman Catholics. Seriously now. You're Roman Catholics. You prefer to rally behind Shasney than to rally behind your Archbishop? Yeah? Your spiritual leader? I mean,
You mean not the one with the fake robe? Not the one who can't even see the Lord's
but
Prayer?
he might be a religious leader for true.
Yeah, he had a fake robe.
Yeah, that robe, that fake
No,
robe.
but he can't even see the Lord's Prayer.
Half a loaf in heaven.
Let's pray.
Hallowed
Father
be
in
thy name.
heaven. He didn't say our Father.
Yeah, Father in heaven.
Father in heaven.
Father in heaven.
Hallowed be.
And Richard, every little child knows that, guys.
You know,
That is something you learn in infant
because
school.
amidst an embarrassment, amidst a national, regional, and international embarrassment, I don't care what anybody says. He is.
There are some of them on Facebook who want to take me on. Richard, when I'm not in the mood to argue, I say nothing. It's okay. It's disaunipudia. I'm the kind of guy also, right? You see the spoken word?
Yes.
No, the writing pen. The writing pen writes, and having writ, it moves on. I am that writing pen. When I say what I say, I've said it and I move on.
Right.
You know, I could say this solely as long as far as I'm concerned, what you're saying is coming from your emotive state.
Yes.
A
A lot of them, they spew garbage on the basis of emotions.
Of course.
And not reality at all. Not facts at all. But you see, you are asking us to move away from CARICOM as though every organization that is headed by black people is no good. And that is why you wanted us to stay with the Privy Council. You wanted us to stay with the Privy Council. And sadly, your gullible and vulnerable followers who know absolutely nothing about accessibility and speed of redress for legal difficulties. They know nothing about that. They'll just repeat your refrain. No referendum, no CCJ. That's all. That's all. You know, folks, this is simply unbelievable. But you know what is worst? What is worse is that when and again, that is the double standardness of Alan Michael Shaste. I will play you a clip. In 2019, he lauded CARICOM. He said, oh yes, CARICOM is the best thing since sliced bread. We must be seen as one because our smallness we cannot bargain on our own. Let us come together to bargain. Today, you in opposition, that very CARICOM is no good. Alan Shaste, stop flip-flopping and take principled stances on any issue. On any one issue, take a principled stance. Let's listen to Shaste 2019 and currently.
Imagine if we had the tenacity to pull out of CARICOM.
To succeed, we must be all in. History has shown that when we join hands, we only get stronger. Among these strengths is being members of the Caribbean community.
Imagine if we had the tenacity to pull out of CARICOM and renegotiate bilateral agreements with Jamaica, bilaterals with Trinidad, bilaterals with Guyana, and bilaterals with Barbados. Would we be better off?
These and other issues require us as CARICOM and as small island developing states to make some bold choices to secure our mere existence. We can truly show the strength in our united front on key international issues. The world now, more than ever before, continues to see us as one region. Our individual size requires us to act as one. I am truly honored to serve as the chairman of this 40th conference.
Our individual sizes force us to act as one. Albert, your take.
Richard, I don't know. If we had the what is it? The tenacity?
Yeah.
I guess he probably meant temerity, and I would probably go with the word industry or enterprise rather than even both of those words.
I'll see if you have the gall.
Yeah, I'd go in enterprise or in industry. But coming back to this, Richard, what is CARICOM? I mean, in 2019, you were lauding CARICOM. And everything he said about CARICOM in 2019 sounded good, you know. Mm-hmm. It was good, right? But here today, and he didn't even give a rationale for his position, you know. He just said that, look, we should have what he said? Tenacity.
Tenacity.
Tenacity
basically means that you don't give up easily. Eh?
Well, of course, that's what it is. You know, when a crab holds you, when a crab puts its gun on you, PGS, but there's tenacity there.
Yes. Yeah. Ron Brand, good night to you. Frances Ram, good night. Ben, good night. Go ahead.
Right? But here's this man talking about leaving CARICOM now.
Sandy Flood, stop getting me jokes. Eh? My daughter sent me Rachel this morning. I'm preparing for the show. So she sent me a video somebody asking a young lady, what bank do you use? And the girl responded, Bank of Papa.
Bank of Papa, well, she knows Bank of
That
Papa.
big and bad.
Bank of Papa is liquid.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure.
Right? But Richard, this man, and remember we had a bout of something before. We were young, we were little children when some of us, we were not born when there was the West Indian Federation.
1952.
58.
58?
Yes.
No, 52 was when they attempted to kill Castro. Yeah.
So
Right.
58, right? The West Indian Federation.
Jamaica and Trinidad.
Right? Right? No, Richard. By 62, Jamaica decided. Now, you see, back then, Richard, we were insular. The countries were insular. We were not far gone from the plantation.
Yes.
You know, so we were insular and competitive. You know, so Jamaica, we big. Trinidad, we big. Remember, there was the big four and all that nonsense.
Yes.
Barbados, although it's tiny in size, but big.
And you know what mashed up the federation? The fellas wanted proportional representation. So basically, Jamaica said if the size of Barbados is 180 square miles and with 500,000 people, I have 10 times, I need 10.
Right, that kind of thing.
That kind of
right? So there was this competition between the islands and so on. They couldn't settle down. Right now, Richard, that kind of competition and insularity, it's not so evident now.
It's not evident now.
It's not so evident. And so CARICOM, I don't know what he meant by CARICOM is not working for us. I don't know what he meant by that.
It was working in 2019, though.
Yeah, it was, you know. But as far as I'm concerned, CARICOM is working for us.
Of course it is.
And CARICOM is a lot better than the setup of the Federation, right? Because within CARICOM now, everybody still have their own little kingdom, if you will.
Yes.
You know?
You still enjoy your sovereignty.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, you still have your thing going.
Yes.
But yet, when it's time to come together, we come together, we put our heads together, you know, and arrive at a common position. So you think of the free movement of goods, Richard. The CSME that exists now. The free movement of goods, services. You know, and I was just laughing, you know, thinking.
Hold on. You remember recently when there was seemingly an attempt by Venezuela to invade Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
CARICOM came together and they said they're not interfering, but your fellas being yourselves. It was a common position.
Yes.
Go ahead.
They had the meeting in St. Vincent. You know, and everything went well.
Everything went well.
Right. Now, I mean, it's something that's a bit of a potential for a flashpoint, but, you know, at the time, Comrade Ralph.
Yes.
Right, who's the senior man in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Okay? Put a little something on that. You know? So I was thinking, Richard, that with the free movement of skills and so on, we have lost some of our good people to Dominica. I know that.
Yes.
Right? But it's not a one-way street. Dominica have lost some of their good people to us.
Yes.
You know? We have some good people from Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? And I'm sure St. Lucia, we have people, I don't know so much about St. Lucian pushing onto Jamaica so much. It might be a bit far. I don't know. Right? But Dominica just across there, St. Vincent just across, you know, Grenada and so on. And so, you know, the free movement, it's a good thing, man. I think St. Lucia is more vibrant now that we have Jamaicans and we have Dominicans.
We have a section of
yes, I think it's more vibrant, you know. So I don't know what he's talking about. I do not know. I honestly do not know. And he needs to tell us, you know, because he hasn't told anybody. All he said was, let's have the tenacity to leave and go and here's the joke, you know, Richard. Let us go and have bilaterals. But all the talk you're gonna bilateral. The deal is already there with everybody.
Exactly. So you're telling me that 10 of us can bargain with one organization simultaneously. We must come take a disjointed approach, and every one of us go and negotiate with that same person. Does that make sense? Here comes the arrival of Nikki Cauldron. Nikki, good night to you, my brother.
Yes, good night, Nikki.
You know, nonsense alone. Nonsense. I mean, CARICOM.
This is just a dear bag. Just, you know.
You see, Shasta spews a lot of garbage on the guys that his colorful accent would be misconstrued as intelligence. You understand? That is basic. But Shasta is shallow. He is shallow. Can you imagine, with all the tariffs that North America wants to impose, who would have a better bargaining voice? Wouldn't it be CARICOM or standalone St. Lucia? You know, nonsense alone made spewing.
And even if, for instance, Rich, if there is something happening at the UN, okay, we can meet at CARICOM level, something that will affect all of us.
All of us.
We meet at CARICOM level.
You have a
We
tete-a-tete
discuss it,
with
yes.
each other, and
Okay.
then we discuss it,
Yeah.
and we have a
And
unified position.
This is how we're going to go.
This is a unified
Yes.
position. You know, I mean, I have delivered different places on behalf of member states. And basically, you sit at the table, you agree to this, you agree to that, you agree to, and then there is a unified position.
You think we're going to make any sense if you come there, small fry, St. Lucia has a position on the left,
St. Vincent
St. Vincent on the right, Barbados going through the middle. You know, the guy just laugh at you.
You know, nonsense. Nonsense alone. Shasta, I want to tell you this. You are a disgrace to this country. You really are. You really are. But anyway, you're not a born St. Lucian. So I understand that. Because you often boast of being a product of Canada. But you know, it baffles me. And then you and Dominic Fairley have the audacity, the gall to talk about taking your country back. Which country that's yours? Which country that's yours? You know? Because that infuriates me. Deja vu, nigga, you want to take country
They
back.
take their country.
Their country back. What do you think of that? Viti. But, you know, folks, it's really disgraceful
But Richard, we really ought to challenge Chasney, right? Because
to ask him the disadvantages of being in
in
Canada.
CARICOM, yes. What are those disadvantages that he
But
speaks
men will
of?
not speak to that. Men just want to be heard, and he wants to import upon himself a degree of relevance that does not exist.
Yes, indeed.
That's all. You know, it baffles.
In Jamaica, they must be laughing their heads off.
Let me tell
Because
you,
it's the Gleaner.
the Gleaner, as soon as Mate said that, it was front page of the Gleaner in Jamaica. Front page of the Gleaner. People are laughing at Chasney. And moi honte.
And St. Lucia too.
Well, St. Lucians always do. Moi honte. You know. But you know, folks, it really baffles me, honestly, that that kind of character could have held the office of Prime Minister of this country. And the man lies, he flip-flops. And it's because he lies, he flip-flops. And so he always tell one lie to cover another lie. But how can you be a flip-flop as Prime Minister? How can people take your word? How can your regional counterparts, how can your regional counterparts take your word as Prime Minister? Given the fact that you say one thing today and another tomorrow. How can your regional counterpart? None of the prime ministers of the region respect Chasney. None of them. None of them. You know, we know the benefits of being in CARICOM, and you spoke about most of them already, Albert. Free movement of trade, free movement of this. You know, all of those things we, as a member of CARICOM, can get, and you're saying, let's get out of it. Everything this man touches, he destroys, Albert.
Of course.
Everything he touches, he destroys. And that's the sad reality. You know, everything the man touches, he destroys. And his double-standardness, his stances on various issues. Basically, when I'm Prime Minister, or when I was Prime Minister, expect this stance from me. But if I'm no longer Prime Minister, I will be diametrically opposed to something that I had institutionalized. You understand that, Kalmaja? You know, nonsense. And that is what we have as a Prime Minister. So people voted for you on the premise that you said you're going to do this. And you said, it's just like, and you know, it's not far-fetched, you know. The man came in office and he started a barrage of lies. He has $3 billion of direct foreign investment waiting to be spent in St. Lucia. It went down to 2 billion. It went down to 1.5 billion.
1.2, 1.5.
No. It's like that.
1.2.
And then he never said that.
And then he never said that.
You know, How can anybody trust what you say? How can we believe in you as a people? And you think we can return to that as our prime minister? No. Now, Shastri, before I rearrange your ignorance, I want you to take a listen to the crap that you spew in relation to the Banan's land. In 2004, the then Minister of Planning, Ignatius Jean, I spoke to him before I came on television because I knew that Banan had been declared a special development area, a special enforcement area. And he said, yes, Mr. Minister, Banan was declared a special enforcement area. At the time, Martin Satney was my PS. But does Shasta even know what a special enforcement area is? You see, when the man wants the political light shone on him, he spews a lot of garbage, he speaks without knowledge, his analytical ability disappears, and he just says anything he wants, anything at all. Black boy, is there a lotto tonight? If there is, because I hope there isn't. There is. Folks, I was hoping there was no lotto because we would have gone right ahead. Okay. If you can hold it back, hold it back. Huh? Okay, yes. So, Shasta knows absolutely nothing about a special enforcement area. Now, mind you, folks, I will be the first to say, let us treat our people fairly. Let us treat our people fairly. Miss Madri Suka don't me leve because Nike Utale. Miss Madri Suka don't me leve Mublik Utale. I'll call you in a while. But before I do all of that, and before I show what a special enforcement area is, I want you to take a listen to the nonsense that Shasta was saying in relation to the people at Banan. Give each of them $1 million. Give them a house and land. $1 million on house and land. That is how you do business. No wonder you take our land, Cabot. You take our mall, another one. You take our land down in Viewfort, Tioa King, go low, Kabai, go low. But you'll not do it for solutions. You'll do it for foreigners. Let's take a listen to Shastri, folks.
As Port Castries undergoes major transformation, some Banners Bay residents are voicing frustration over relocation offers. Though denying ties to the opposition, their concerns eerily echo the same points raised by UWP leader Alan Chastney, who insists they deserve compensation on par with Casabah resident Marjorie Lambert, who received land, a building, and over $1 million compensation for her relocation. Jason Sifley tells us more.
Opposition leader Alan Chastney thinks that each person being relocated from Banans Bay should receive a house, land, and over $1 million, just like Marjorie Lambert of Casabah. This is the standard, he insists, even though his government only negotiated a deal of $300,000 to $400,000 for Lambert and her family, and once blocked the entrance to Lambert's beachside business, frustrating her ability to do business. If each inhabitant and entrepreneur of Banans Bay's fishing hamlet were to get the same deal as Marjorie Lambert of Casabah, it would cost $78 million to cash them out even before paying for their houses and the land. Would the Shastney government have shelled out that much money for the people of Banans Bay? More pointedly, is it fair to compare Lambert's situation to that of Banans Bay people? Lambert was the first business person to recognize the multi-million-dollar potential of Casaba. She was not a squatter. She had a legal right to build and do business on the Queen's Chain, as the Chasney government found out when they tried to push her off the beach. Chasney is adamant, however, that the two situations are parallel and should be treated as such. Chasney admits that his government only negotiated a $300,000 to $400,000 payout from Marjorie Lambert. The Pierre administration negotiated 3 to 4 times the amount of money for her. Chasney is insisting that this is the measuring stick that should be used for compensating the people of Banans Bay, even though history shows that it is unlikely his government would have done that. The opposition leader's reasoning may sound good to the strugglers of Banans Bay, who will take more if they can get more. But would Banans Bay people have gotten a better deal from a Chasney government? The story of Marjorie Lambert suggests that they would get as little as a quarter of what they are being offered now, if anything at all, before being given the boot. For Choice News Now, I'm Jason Seaflay.
Let me say good night to Aaron and Wadley on the farm. Okay, we take a quick break, folks. Stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
How can anybody be against we improving the Banans Bay area?
The advantage it has, we're down at 0 right now. We're on ground 0. So if we step up to ground 2 and reach 10.
Well, I feel it's going to be great because the condition we operating right now, there are places that don't have water, people that don't have current, and also I feel that the whole program is going to be something great for us.
I was just hoping that it would happen because there's a lot of saying and nothing's not going on. It's not today. They've been coming up and down to do something, to work on that project in fact. But it seems like it's going to be serious this time. I'm proud of what I've seen.
If there is any government that cares, it is the Philip J.P. administration.
You're watching MBC.
The winning numbers for the evening draw of Friday, 20th June 2025 were tic-tac-toe, 1, 6, 7, 9, 12, 17, 18. Big 4, 6, 2, 0, 1. The Big 4 multi-X ball drawn is 2X. Big 2, 5, 7. The Big 2 multi-X ball drawn is FB. 1 off, 4, 5, 5. Lucky 3, 6, 3, 4. The Lucky 3 multi-X ball drawn is 2X. Super 6, 2, 5, 9, 14, 23, 25. The free ticket letter is K. The Super 6 jackpot for the draw of Tuesday, 24th June 2025 now stands at $343,000.
Yes, folks, we're back. I want to say a special good night to Aaron and Wadali. Ras Wadali on the farm in Lapel. Good night to you. Let's go over in Pennsylvania, and you're locked on. Good night to you. Hayden Thomas, Zol, Euris, Mustin, Daniel Thomas. Good. Watch me. You got him. Good night, good night. Hey, Black Boy, your birthday is when again? Sunday. Black Boy birthday is on Sunday, so we're doing a special edition of Can I Help You at a bar somewhere.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Richard, my grandson in New York, Darian, I used to call him Fat Boy when he was there, you know. Said Darian, he graduated from middle school today.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to say congratulations to him.
Very well.
Right. And another grandchild of mine, that's Haven. She doesn't understand yet. She's just 1 year. She's going to be 1 year old on Monday.
Yeah.
Yes. So greetings and salutations.
It's a miracle you didn't sound like Guy Joseph. She's going to be 1 year today.
1 year.
Cassius James over in New York. Good night to you. Frances, Sophia, Bia. Good night. Teresa. Good night. Lydia Faisal, my sister. Good night to you. Cornelia Jacob. Good night. Saudi Mullah Cornelia. Just go Cornelia. Owen Alcindor, good night to you. Good night to Shamian, Eastern Parkway. Good night to you, Richie. Good night to you. Good night, Cheryl Morgan, Cassius James. Good night. All the others, good night, good night, good night. So, folks, we listen to Alan Shastney. Now, I will say this. And Ernest said it, everybody have already said it. I will not be part of any government that treats people badly. Julian Charles, Keisha Edwin, good night. I will not be part of any government that treats people badly. Vendors, I take care of you all. Fish up anybody with this place, we assist them. Okay? We don't do like Shastney. So I will say that we can do whatever we can do for the guys in Banan. And we will not turn our backs on them. The administration that I am part of will never do that. But I want to show you all something, folks. From 2004, put up the special enforcement area for me, please. Banan was declared a special enforcement area. Special enforcement area. Zanik of Millet, good night. Hear what it says. Despite anything contained in the provisions of this act, the minister may, for the purpose of preventing squatting or other forms of unauthorized development, by order published in the Gazette, declare any area to be a special enforcement area. It goes on to say, without prejudice to the provisions of Section 51, where an area is declared to be a special enforcement area, the head of the Physical Planning and Development Division may, upon service of a notice of the owner-occupier of the land, not less than 14 days before the intended action, remove, demolish, or alter any development where such development has commenced without the written permission of the head of the Physical Planning and Development Division, and where the head of the Physical Planning and Development Division is satisfied that permission would not have been granted for that development. I'm showing this, folks, because since 2004, 21 years ago, Banan was declared a special enforcement area, which means that there should be no house, no this, no that. But notwithstanding, I am still saying, let us treat the people well. So when Shastney opens his mouth, Shastney does not even understand what a special development area is. Once you go into a special development area, a special enforcement area, after it has been gazetted, you are a squatter. You are a squatter. Your rights end there. But as a government, we will treat the people well. But Shastney does not know that. not know the stipulations of the law. And you know, folks, Shasta is stupid enough to compare a special enforcement area where no squatting is permitted, no house building is permitted, nothing is permitted to be done there. It has been gazetted. He wants to compare that. He wants to compare an area where any kind of development has been prohibited for the last 21 years. He wants to compare that to somebody who has a lease. To somebody who has a lease and says government negotiated for Miss Madry. Shasney, you are a compulsive, unequivocal, but you don't like me to say liar, but stranger to the truth. I mean, you just lied too much, too much, too much. You tried, Shasney, on more than one occasion. I was in cabinet with you. When Miss Madry went for her list, I was not even in politics yet. I was a lawyer who negotiated her list for her. And then when we came into government from 2006, you targeted her. You attempted to take possession of where she was. And as a minister then...
From 2006?
I'll call Miss Madry Kuyeme. From 2006, he attempted. I was a minister. I said, no way, Shasney.
So there was no cabot yet?
There was no cabot. He wanted to take it to give to somebody else. I said, no, I stood for her. I stood for her. I said, there's no way I'm in this government. You all want to take the lady's bread and butter for her. And then I succeeded then. When he became prime minister, he tried again. That is when we organized the Jano want me to bathe on my beach and all of that. They had chained Miss Madry out. He had chained Miss Madry. I asked her to cut the chain to gain access because there was no court order. I asked her to cut the chain to regain access to her property. I did all of that. Miss Madry is calling me now. Miss Madry.
Yes, Mr. Richard. I'm still listening to your show.
All right, lower the volume of your radio or TV for me, please.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you. Shasney said that his government negotiated for you to get what you get. Let St. Lucians know how many times Shasney... Yes, put it off.
Dion.
Yeah, tell him turn it off. I'm hearing myself. Thank you. Thank you.
It's good?
Yes, it's good. Tell the St. Lucians how many times Shasney attempted to take you out of there and who stood up for you. Give the St. Lucians your story very quickly.
So, Dion. Yeah. Twice. For raffle, the first time, and the second time was for cabot.
Okay, for raffle the first time. What year was that?
That was 2009.
2009. And
Yeah,
when
but,
it... go ahead.
But in 2006, they would have come after me.
Yes.
But they came 2009.
And who stood with you at the time?
You, Mr. Richard, I came to you, and then I explained to you, and then you came down to the beach.
Good.
You came down to the beach 3 times. A time, they blocked the road.
Go ahead.
A time, they put padlock. You had to break the, cut the fence. And another time again, they dropped all the water. They had 3 big things of water, pond of water. They drop it down. It mash up all the beach. So people cannot go up and down.
Good.
Right?
So after he attempted to take the land in 2009, did he attempt to take it again after that?
Yeah, 2021.
Yes. For whom?
Came back.
Yes.
He take it for Cabot.
Yes.
I didn't even know. He give it to them for 75-year lease.
Yes.
And then when I heard that, I see a man come and survey. I say, come out from there before I call my lawyer for you. Just come out. Leave and go.
And what happened?
Because I have a lease.
And what happened?
Then the man left. And then one person come to negotiate with me. She said, never come and negotiate with me, Mr. Richard. I'm telling you that from my heart. Is Miss Francis. He was working with Cabot.
Yes. And who did you call to negotiate for you?
Mr. Richard Frederick. Because you was my lawyer when I got the lease.
Yes.
So I called you.
Yes.
And then you came to me. And I explained to you what is happening. Because people had wanted to do everything, block the road.
Basically, he tried his best to get you out.
Yes. But Shasta never come to me. He never sent nobody to me. Only one person that come to me. And she was so disrespectful. Is the lady I tell you that was working with Cabot. The lady asked me, he given me $175,000. And then he put me right on top of the beach where nobody's not coming, only horses are passing there. I tell her, no, my son was there big. When I say, let me tell you, you're not ready yet. You're not ready to negotiate. No way.
Yes.
And then I called you, and you came, and then you did everything. And
basically, I negotiated.
God bless you.
I
negotiated. Yes.
I negotiated with Cabot on your behalf.
Yes.
But Shasta is saying that is his government that negotiated for you.
I never seen none of Shasta people. To be honest, only one day he was in the golf course. I'll not mention the person's name. The person was playing golf with him. And if I have to mention, I will. And then he sent the person to come and see me where everything was hot. Everybody was for me. You understand?
Yes.
And she said, let me tell you something. The day we had the thing on the beach there, they had more trouble than Labour Party, if you believe.
Yeah, I know, because basically people rallied around you.
Yes, and I can tell these people, thanks so much, God bless them and bless their family. But you see, Shasne, I'm telling you that from my heart. Shasne don't have a place to rest when you see you die. I'm telling you that, because twice the man came sending people to take the list from me. You understand?
Yes.
This is unfair for the people of St. Lucia.
Very good.
All Caribbean people, for everybody.
Very good.
This is unfair. You mean to tell me nobody didn't see the beach before me?
Exactly. Exactly.
When I was walking from my home to go down with the beach with my cooler, people used to laugh at me. You know. I never give up. They had nothing on the beach.
And imagine, Madrid, they don't even know. I mean, I first met you about 30 years ago. That was around 1994 or 95, thereabout.
Yes.
You had all your senses. You walk up and down that beach so much, you are now blind. They don't even know that. You are now blind. You know, and for Shasta to attempt to do it to you, what it did to you, and if we didn't stand for you, you would have been out. And today, Shasta will brag about government negotiated for you.
That is not true. Never. The time he had wanted to come, that's the time he was in the golf course with somebody I know well. And he asked the person to come and see me, to talk to me. He wanted to come and see me. I tell him, don't even. I remember I called you and told you about it.
Yes.
I said, I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear him. I don't want to see him. Tell him don't even come to my place. Because the time they had to come to my place is when they had closed, they had put the gate.
Yes.
And they had made another road and put the road halfway.
Yeah.
And I had to pay a man with a chain for, to cut some trees from me.
To pass.
For me to pass. And a tree,
Yes.
That's And then next day, when you tell them to cut the fence, they just put gates and they put a lot of dirt so I cannot pass.
You know, and today that man is saying, today that same man, Miss Marjorie, is saying government negotiated for you.
Government? I mean, what happened to Shasney? I mean, a big man like that.
Yeah, well, boy.
And I mean, the Bannon people. I mean, look, you're doing something good for them. They didn't have a list. I was paying a list every
I know that, Miss Marjorie. I did
how much money.
I did your list.
I have to pay my liquor license, and I have just started, and I have to pay the money. You understand? People don't know how I suffer for down there.
Miss Marjorie, I know that's why I stood by your side.
You know? And all St. Lucian, I used to come to that beach. They know. Because they used to laugh at me. What that lady doing there from hell? They used to laugh at me. I used to shelter in the record booster. You understand?
Yes,
I
Miss
just come there. And you know what that really hurt me again? Is Guy Joseph. Guy Joseph talking. And you know what, Mr. Richard? I don't like to report, but Guy Joseph was a little young boy coming to my auntie home. Guy Joseph stepped at my home when he was about 14, 15. You understand? I didn't want to say that. But when I see Guy Joseph that blocking that road and drop it there, for me to, I cannot pass.
To deny you access.
Why? Guy Joseph not doing that? And Guy Joseph was my cousin, Fabian, best friend. And then last Hill, it always used to be last Hill. And I was renting a house, Patterson Gap. You can ask Kabit.
Yeah, Tim.
It was my neighbor.
Yes.
And then a day, because I like Indian movie, so I was going and see a movie they was calling I'll Die for Mama. Me, Guy Joseph, and my nephew, we went. And when we come back, we go and look for transport for him. They had no transport. The forest here, transport. I take him at my home Patterson Gap and sleep, and next day in the morning, take him at his home.
And that's the same man who forget all of that and is blocking you.
Yes.
Miss Marjorie, well, okay, I can't keep you too long. I just wanted you to clear the air. And I'm sure that you and I know that probably had it not been for Richard Frederick, you'd not be where you are today.
I'm telling you, I'm loud and clear. And all the people of St. Lucia that came that day, it was a blessing, and God bless everyone.
All right, Miss Marjorie, take care.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You know, and this man will say government negotiated. The man chained down the woman. They dropped dirt on the road to her business.
They dug the roadside too.
They dug it to make it inaccessible.
Not the roadside, the road.
The road. She had to cut trees to make an alternative access. You know, and today you are saying government just did this and government. God is going to punish you, man.
But Richard, before, I know we almost done, right?
We all know we have to go to, quickly, we'll go to one other thing.
Well, we might as well go to it.
Your Denry Panda.
Oh, yes. The den, what's Ben for the den? Ben for the den.
Ben for the den. You know, but I'll tell you all this, folks. What Shasney attempted to do to Miss Marjorie, had I, Richard Frederick, not been alive and taken a stance for her, she would not have been where she is today. I did all the negotiations for her. All. And I did the negotiations with Cabot. In the absence of any government representative, Shasney knows absolutely nothing about that. So when I lie on TV and government negotiated and government did this, you are a liar, Shasney. You are a lie. Now, folks, Flabo has selected a candidate for Denry South, Benson Emil. You know what they say, Membet? Mempuel.
Yeah.
Do I hear Guy Joseph?
Well, listen, we have established already, and it wasn't we establishing it, they established for us that the selection committee, the panel, Alan Chasney, Guy Joseph, and Dominic Vide.
Okay,
That
very
is
good.
the-
Folks, you know how we end in the show tonight? I'm going to play a clip, Benson Emil. And I want to read 4 pieces, 4 excerpts from the Towns and Village Council's report in relation to Benson Emil. I did not write it, but you will hear it, you will see it, and you'll understand the kind of candidates that Guy Joseph will choose. Mr. Birthday Man, play that clip for me, please.
The UWP continues to pretend that it is selecting new, fresh candidates. But always remember, when Prudence said that they don't want anything else than candidates willing to work under Chasney.
We don't want to saddle Alan Chasney with no one that don't want to work with Alan Chasney.
Also remember that their selection committee is literally Chasney, Guy, and Fede.
Guy, Dominic, and Alan. Stand and take a bow. You all have done a great job in selecting a great team.
Only 2.5 men. Lastly, as amoral, corrupt individuals themselves, they will always appoint like-minded individuals to facilitate their greed at the expense of the public.
Not one of mendicants, not one of people who want to sit by it and to say, la gouvernement, Mr. Minister. See, some people like that.
Now, Benson Emil is a former permanent secretary under Chasney, who also served as chairman of UWP Dennery South Constituency Council between 2006 and 2011. He also held the privileged position of Assistant Accountant General at the Treasury Department. Yes, indeed, Benson has been very fortunate in the public service as he has made his way to the top without any single professional qualification or degrees. None! Now, some did say that having served Edmund Estefan twice as campaign manager and being an avid UWP supporter gave him the nod for top-flight public service positions that he was not qualified for. But even the Towns and Village Council's audit revealed more nefarious activity. St. Lucia, did you know that Benson, as chairman of the UWP Dennery South Council, received a contribution of $148,350 on behalf of the Dennery North Council? And then, strange as it may be, it was suspected that this outrageous route was to elude the sitting Dennery North MP back then, Marcus Nicholas, who at the time had fallen out of favor with UWP government. Whatever happened to that money? As Assistant Accountant General and Dennery South Chairman, Emil was called to account, but never cooperated. The Dennery North Council was unable to account for those public funds. St. Lucia, it was also revealed that $67,634.77 was paid to a Carmelite Souffle, owner and operator of a small grocery shop. It was then revealed that Carmelite Souffle is actually Benson Emil's mother. Lastly, it was revealed that these funds originated from the Taiwanese. Now, knowing that Guy already admitted falsifying state documents in receipt of funding from the Taiwanese government,
the situation with the Taiwanese projects, they had to compile a list based on the contracts that were in the ministry. Pretend as if the projects had not been done and submit it to the Taiwanese for approval. Submitting the list of projects, getting approval from the Taiwanese before the projects were implemented.
what do you think Guy and Benson and Chasney will do if they ever get access to monies meant for the people of St. Lucia again?
Folks, I didn't put that together. Let me say good night to a couple of people before Albert reads about 4 excerpts from the Towns and Village Council's report, and you will hear yourself. But that would just be the tip of the iceberg. Top in Soufre. Good night to you, Sammy Gustav. Good night. Wilma in Labry. Good night. Mary and Lina Seal. Again, good night. Nancy, ambassador to Cuba. Where are you, Nancy? Are you here? Are you in Cuba? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Todo es bueno en Cuba? Susan Colimo, good night to you. Lucian Trini, good night. Now, you all heard that clip. Let us read some excerpts. Put up anyone first. Anyone. Okay. We have since continued. We have since confirmed.
Okay, yes. Says we have since confirmed that the signatories to the credit union account were Benson ML, chairman, James Prosper, member, and Jovita St. Marf, member. Further, all transactions in relation to disbursements from that account were coordinated from the Office of Parliamentary Representative. I suppose that would be Edmund Estefan.
Edmund Estefan,
And according to James Prosper, a former member, all documentation in relation to disbursements from the account should be in the custody of former chairman Benson ML. Secondly, the claim that all documents in relation to disbursements from the Banker St. Lucia bank account were destroyed by floods cannot be accurate.
Yeah, was I read that again?
Yeah, I think I should read that again.
Yeah. So Benson Emil said what?
No, it says, secondly, the claim that all documents in relation to disbursements from the Bank of St. Lucia bank account were destroyed by floods cannot be accurate.
But Benson Emil live on top of a hill. Flood la villa.
High above sea level.
Okay, go ahead.
This was because there were no floods in 2011. And so documentation in relation to disbursements made in relation to the 2 economic stimulus packages in 2011 could not have been affected by floods. Right? Now, as you well know, Richard, January is a flood-prone area.
All right, but finish reading first.
Right? Several requests for documentation were made to former chairman Benson Emil.
Read that sentence again, please.
Several requests for documentation were made to former chairman Benson Emil.
And he's a candidate now, eh?
Yeah, I believe he's the candidate.
He's not a caretaker.
No, he's not a candidate. He's endorsed. And he's a member.
All right, go ahead.
He promised to furnish the necessary documentation within reasonable time. But it is now over 9 months, right? And that was done in what year, Richard?
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, go ahead.
It's now over 9 months since the request was made, and he has not furnished the team with the necessary documentation.
Yes.
Therefore,
yes,
we have a situation at the Dennery Village Council. And I'm going to read that one again. That's what I'm
because that's a lot there. But yeah, go ahead.
Therefore, we have a situation at the Dennery Village Council where a total amount of $5,810,938.79 has been disbursed.
Yes.
But no documentation has been provided to substantiate those disbursements.
Wow. How much, Albert?
Therefore, we have a situation at the Dennery Village Council where a total amount of $5,810,000. Oh, black boy.
Why are you doing that, black boy?
But it's okay.
It's okay. We look at
$810,938.79 has been disbursed, but no documentation has been provided to substantiate these disbursements.
Who was the chairman then?
Benson Emil.
Who's the candidate now?
Benson Emil.
Very well. 5.8 million. Put up another piece, please. Good. Let's go again. For the period
under review, we saw from documentation an established procedure for withdrawals from the account of the Dennery Village Council at the Dennery Community Cooperative Credit Union. It involved the issuance of instruction memo under the hands of two members of council, Benson Emil, chairman, and James Prosper, treasurer, to the credit union.
Yes.
A detailed vouching exercise from instruction memos to statements furnished by the credit union revealed that there were no instruction memos issued by the two members of council mentioned above for a great quantity of withdrawals debited to the account by the credit union. These withdrawals covered the period January 2008 to October 2008 and totaled $1,501,000. I think we have a mistake there.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. $1,501,046.
$46.29.
Yes, that's it.
Right. According to manager of the credit union, Thora Dundas, the credit union received instruction memos from council for the withdrawals referred to, but were returned to the council via former chairman Benson Emil.
Benson Emil.
She further indicated that several requests were made to the former chairman to return the documents, but all these requests proved to be futile.
And who was the former chairman?
Benson Emil.
And who's the candidate?
Benson Emil.
Put another Excel, please. We just went for, we've done two. There are loads of them. Let's take this one now, Albert.
1 second, huh?
Yeah, sure.
I've got a
Sure.
delay.
You don't have to read all of it, huh?
Right.
But read the top and then read.
On interaction and further inquiries. No, our interaction and further inquiries have revealed that these payees were engaged in supplying the following goods and services.
Go ahead.
To the following amounts.
Just read the persons who the pays.
There's Trans-Caribbean, Bravo, MNC Wholesale, S&K Manufacturing, Shigani Industries, Camelot Sifley,
Camelot Sifley.
Oh, you want to stop there?
No.
Oh, Ricky Alexander.
And Ricky Alexander. Now read that line below Ricky Alexander.
We know that Camelot Sifley is the mother of former chairman Benson Emil.
Read that again.
We note that Camelot Sifley is the mother of former chairman Benson Emil.
And how much was paid to her?
Small grocery items.
Okay, it's on another one. It's on another one.
From interviews with clerk of council, it has been revealed that council was never in the habit of purchasing these types of goods and services. In addition, she said that from her knowledge, council never requested, neither did it receive any goods and services from the payees mentioned.
Okay, so money was paid to Camelot Sifley, who's Benson Emil's mother, whilst Benson Emil is chairman of council. Give us another one, please. The last one. It should be. Good. And that one would have it.
Yeah.
Read this one, Albert.
Just a second.
Private, sure. Private and confidential. Yeah. Folks, that is how we deal, I don't deal with they say, I say, we say. We deal with facts. And I have the entire report. But then South, I'll be coming. We coming. Stabach, I coming. Read this now.
Of note is the fact that clerk of council was not a signatory to the account, and there was no approval from the accountant general to open and operate that account. Ironically, Benson Emil, chairman of council, was a senior officer at the accountant general's department.
So hear this.
Account was open.
Right, hear this, folks. Benson Emil is chairman of council. Benson Emil also working at the treasury. Go ahead.
Further, our investigations revealed that the account was open for the primary purpose of receiving Taiwanese grant funds under the so-called Community Grassroots Program. The above is a gross violation of the Financial Regulations 113 and contributed immensely to the fact that monies received by council was not paid into the treasurer and never went into the urban, village, or rural council fund.
Okay. Go ahead. According to our investigation.
Disbursement of funds. According to our investigations, the Denver Village Council received a total of $5 $846,685.63 during the period January 2008 to December 2011.
How much did you receive, Albert?
$5,836,685.63.
Yes, go ahead.
An amount of $4,788,389.88 came from the Taiwanese government and was deposited into an account at the Denry Cooperative Credit Union. An amount of $900,000 was received from central government and was deposited in Black boy, where you taking me there? Thank you very much. And was deposited in the Denry Cooperative Credit Union. In accordance with statements from Denry Cooperative Credit Union, all funds, except an amount of $16,808.74, were fully disbursed from the account as of December 41st, 2011.
Elections.
Yes.
Yes.
According to documentation and interviews, all disbursements from the account were on the written order of Benson Emil.
Read that again.
According to documentation and interviews, all disbursements from the account were on the written order of Benson Emil, chairman, and James Prosper, member.
Okay.
The disbursements were not on the written order of the clerk of council, as she was not even a signatory to the account. Further still, from documentation, that's instruction memos from council to credit union, covering the period October 2008 to November 2011, we noticed funds were disbursed to the following payees and in the following amounts. There's Brio with 61,000, etc. Carmelite Siffley.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Who is Carmelite Siffley?
Mother of Benson Emil.
Mother of Benson Emil, and all the checks were written on instructions of Benson Emil. So Benson Emil gave instructions to write his mother a check of how much?
$67,634.77.
Let's end it here, Albert.
Yes, we
Let's finish there. Black boy, take it down. Take it down. Albert.
Yes.
What say now? Guilty or not guilty?
Well, yeah, all I'll tell you is I'm from Denry, my brother. And you know I'm from Denry South, right? That's where I'm from.
Well,
there's a word you used to use, but I see you've given it up.
Which one?
I'm flabbergasted.
Oh, indeed. Oh, imagine a man said he was in awe and he wanted to elongate the word. He said, I'm ostracized.
You know, he did.
And you understand why the panel
will
have interest.
Well, you have to go back to what Prudence said. Okay. What did Prudence say?
Okay.
All right.
Albert, it's 10 o'clock already.
Yes, we did say.
Our officers are waiting. You know, folks, and they expect us to go back to
so
that.
they now want to give this man superintendence of the entire Denry South.
Put it this way, legitimacy to continue along the same vein.
Yeah. Yes, give him the power now.
Aye. Albert. And folks, I have the entire report. What you read there, I just took 4 or 5 excerpts from the report. But tell them I'm coming. Just that. I am coming and I will not stop. And that's how I deal. I don't have time for Mepui. Africa will not take me. India might take. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I have time for facts. I have time for empirical evidence. I have time to substantiate anything I say. My days of Mipui are over, if I ever used to give Mipui. Let's let the electorate know who exactly they're dealing with. Albert, your closing words.
Yes, right before I close.
Yes, brother.
Let's see if I can run down the Seaside Senate, man. Simpton.
Trevor, Canada, good night to you. Twatine, good night to you. Good night. Go ahead.
Yes, Symptom, Mr. Marsh, Ananias, I'm trying to remember, Jimo, Roger. No.
Anson Maxwell said he needs, what do you need? Some Fenzik and Tylenol. Austina Fanis, Austina, what do you? Why is the SLP sitting on this, Lawrence? Go ahead.
Yes, man, the entire Seaside Senate, good night. And as I said last time, we really have to get together to have our little gathering.
Look, Martin Francis. Martin, you're too troublesome. Even if you're in London, you're in the UK, innit? And you're 4 hours ahead, you need to go and sleep now. Martin, ask Rosella, ask Martin to come to bed now. Good night. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, I think I missed out a few of the chats.
Go ahead. Go right ahead, my boy.
But we will get together and we'll have a good time like we used to have. And so, yes, thanks very much. I mean, we appreciate that it's Friday and you people normally are away, grocery, etc., having a good time. And, a lot of you spend the time with us tonight. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Cornelia said I look like a priest. Cornelia Jacob, we are taking knuckles. Petra Edmond, good night. Glenda, everybody, good night. John Peters, Rossicao, good night. What do you say there? Balfini, Vieloasak, well, we just start. Trust me, we just start. When you see that campaign is heated, we move from idling. What's that, sugar darling? Look, then you ask me, let's go. Yeah, she know. No, you told me, let's go. You do like Shasti when he told Dominic Philly.
The hook. Oh, she gave you the hook.
But folks, that's it. We had to do a makeup class. We have a lot more to reveal. But trust me, as we get closer to home, when the home run is approaching, we will be releasing bit by bit and bit by bit and bit by bit. As I've always said, if God has blessed you, no one can curse you. Live clean, because what you sow, you are bound to reap. I'm Richard Frederick. I'm out of... No, I want my song. I want my song before I leave. I want my song. Why Shasta Vex? I want my song.
Carlton, a question right quick.
Carlton, good night. But I want my song. All right, okay. He'll play my song for me.
I'm watching my news on my television. When Timothy introduced Alan, he said the leader of opposition wants to address our nation. So I listen intensively to what the man have to say for we. Who they talk about new policy of our country, but the man start to rag and rage until the man misbehave, telling people to get angry and create chaos in the country. He raging, he declaring, his eyes flaming like Satan controlling him. Getting on bad, like he was going mad. Everyone perplexed, asking why is our land so vexed. He vexed, cause St. Jude's finishing, and all the roads they fixing, and more hotels opening. Yes, he vexed, cause more tourists coming, jazz festival flourishing, and the pots they modernizing. He had a praising Philip, yeah, for the works he doing down here. This is no pretext, that's why our land so vexed. No more Taiwanese checks, that's why our land so vexed. Mafashe. promises they can't keep. That is why some people say talk is cheap. Case in point, the fellas in opposition. Now they outside looking in, they have all these solutions. Men who used to break the law all the time, suddenly concerned with the state of crime. So I want to ask the leader, whose IQ is my shoe size? Stop trying to put wool over our eyes. Listen, are you saying to the nation, can make crime non-existent? No, you can't. No, you can't. Are you saying to the nation, can get crime off the equation? No, you can't. No, you can't. I'm not saying we don't have a crime problem, but there was crime too in Jerusalem. Not even Jesus of Nazareth could have stopped Cain causing Abel death. Once there is disparity, men like you that too greedy, there will always be crime. There will always be crime. The bluffing you should quit. Jesus could not fix it, crime. So come on everyone, let's try. No, you can't.
What is he saying there? No what, Albert?
No, you can't.
Kent?
Yeah, you can't.
Kent is a fella I know. Kent, good night from Grass Street. Kent and Dylan. No, you can't.
Yeah, but that's the English. I mean, if you say illusion, it's
no,
illusion.
but Invader has one. Tie up. Papa Vader, good night to you, folks.
So somebody going around with rope and
yeah, tie up, guy, tie up. Folks, trust me. Richard Frederick, information galore. I've asked them to leave me alone. You're back at turn. But trust me, we're starting to reveal bit by bit. I'm coming. I am coming. Albert, your closing words.
I feel that you want to keep Black Boy here.
Oh, yeah, Black Boy. Let me say good night to the guys at Feelings Bar. The guys at Feelings Bar, how they call themselves, the Ketika Screw. The Karen Hart Screw at Feelings Bar. Next time we go down to Denver, we're stopping at Feelings Bar.
Feelings in Denver, yes.
In Denver, yeah. The Karen Hart Screw. We will come by you, BH. Good night to you whilst I'm in Denver. Cock. Good night. Those in Denver, I know, good night. Folks, like I say, that is it on a Friday. We cannot stay too late. We have to go. If God has blessed you, no one can curse you. Live clean, because what you sow, you are bound to reap. Be careful of the pit that you dig. It may just be your own. I have another soldier in the house. Kim Cauldron has come. He's in the house there tonight. We'll see you later, alligator. Bye.